Hey everybody, Mr. Bucko here with a couple of examples on using the distributive property and combining like terms. So we're going to knock a couple of these out right here. And first we see, simplify the expression, negative 6 times the quantity negative 8x plus 2. And what we're going to do here is use the distributive property to simplify this. You might see this word as expand or just use the distributive property. And what the distributive property is using this negative 6 and multiplying it by everything inside the parentheses. So first we're going to do negative 6 times negative 8x, and then we're going to do negative 6 times 2. And what that would look like is this. We are now multiplying negative 6 times negative 8x, because when you see two things right next to each other, separated by parentheses like this, it means to multiply. And then we are adding, from right here, negative 6 times the 2. So what we've done here is taken negative 6 times negative 8x, and negative 6 times 2. And when we do that multiplication, negative 6 times negative 8x, that is 48x, positive 48x, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then negative 12 comes from negative 6 times 2. Negative times a positive is a negative, and then the plus sign because we are adding them together. You can leave it like this, 48x plus negative 12, or you can change it to 48x minus 12. These two things are the same, which is the algebraic definition of subtraction, 48x plus negative 12 is the same thing as 48x plus 12. Either one of these two things are fine depending upon how you like the format of them, and that is using the distributive property to simplify this expression. If we do another one, we have 4x minus 3 times the quantity 5x plus 1. And what we're going to do here, again, is simplify the expression. It could say use the distributive property, it could say expand, it could say several different things, evaluate. What we're going to do again is use the distributive property on this negative 3 and multiply it by 5x and plus 1. Notice I said negative 3 because there's a minus sign out in front of the 3. We could change that to a plus negative 3 if that helps. And when we do that, we get this expression, the 4x right here. We're not multiplying 4x by anything, so we're doing 4x minus the 3. So we're going to do negative 3 times 5x and negative 3 times the 1, which is right here, and the plus from adding those two things together. And then we can do this multiplication, negative 3 times 5x, and we can do negative 3 times 1. And when we do that multiplication, what we get is negative 15x from negative 3 times 5x, and negative 3 here, which is negative 3 times 1. We can add two of these things together. We can do 4x plus negative 15x. Those are called like terms. And if we do 4x plus negative 15x, what we get is negative 11x, because 4 plus negative 15 is negative 11. And if we have 4 x's and we add negative 15 x's, we have negative 11 x's. And then the plus negative 3, there's nothing to combine this with. There's no like terms there. It's just a constant number. So we have this, and we can change that once again by using the algebraic definition of subtraction to negative 11x minus 3. Either one of these two things is fine depending upon how you like to look at them. I prefer negative 11x minus 3, but either one of these is just fine. Another example would look like this. We have 4x minus the quantity 5x plus 1. Notice with this one there's no number out in front of the parentheses. We're not distributing 4x because there's this minus sign here. We're subtracting this. And if you don't see anything in front of the parentheses, there is a number there. And that number is 1. We can write this expression just like this. These two things are exactly the same. This is a little bit more clear. Now we can see that we are distributing a negative 1 inside the parentheses. So we're going to do negative 1 times 5x and negative 1 times positive 1. And if we do that distribution, what that looks like is this. Negative 1 times 5x plus negative 1 times 1. Do that multiplication. Negative 5x comes from negative 1 times 5x, negative 5x. This negative 1 comes from negative 1 times 1, negative 1, and we're adding all these things together. Once again, there are like terms. We can do 4x plus negative 5. 4x plus negative 5x is negative 1x. And we have negative 1x plus negative 1. And kind of like we did at the beginning here, when there wasn't a 1 there and then we added a 1, we can kind of do the reverse here. If there's a 1 in front of a variable or in front of parentheses, it's kind of like we don't have to put anything there. So we can rewrite this as negative x minus 1. Notice the 1 is gone, because if there's negative 1x, it's the same as negative x. And plus negative 1 is just the same thing as subtracting 1. Either one of these things, once again, is fine, depending on how you like to look at them. I prefer this way, and that is how you distribute and combine like terms.